everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to show you the setup of my 2022 reading journal. So basically just a general overview of the yearly spreads that I've made. This is a bullet journal by Notebook Therapy. It has the beautiful holographic edges that I really love, even though I don't know if I'm going to see a lot of it by the end of the year because it's already pretty thick here and I just made the yearly spreads. But either way, I like the way it looks. So when we go into the reading journal, the first page here is just belongs to Jolien, that's me. I try to smug this page up a little bit so that if you open the reading journal, it's beautiful from the get-go. Then this next page was a little bit difficult because I don't know if you can see, but it's attached to the previous one quite far along. So I didn't want to have a spread here that I need to use a lot of times. And I decided to just use a quote here. There's a grain of truth in every fairy tale, which is a quote of The Last Wish, the first book in the Witcher series that I really enjoyed. This page is still a little bit empty. I don't know what to do with it for sure, but I think that I will make a collage of all of my favorite books that I've read of all time. And I do think that that would be nice here. Then next up we have my actual start of the reading journal. So here 2022 reading journal, and then on the left I want to make a list of my top 10 books of 2021. I haven't made that list yet, so I need to think long and hard before I fill in this spread. Then next, of course, we have the index page. So I already have two categories, the yearly spreads, which is a little bit of a spoiler for the rest of this video, I suppose. And then here my monthly spreads, and I haven't filled in the page number yet because of course I don't know that, I haven't made these spreads yet. Here on the right, I do want to add two more categories. So first of all, an update of my stats and goals. I do an update of this at the end of each quarter. So if I fill them in here in a separate category, I can find them back very easily. And then the other category that I want to add is my lists. I love making lists. If I read a book in April that I think is perfect for winter, I want to make a winter recommendations list. So again, if I have a separate category here, I can find these very random lists in the middle of my reading journal quite easily. Then next up we have my goals here, so reading and booktube goals. I only filled in the most important ones because for me, the number one goal is to have fun with both of these. These are just my hobbies, so I don't want to get stressed out by having 1001 goals. These are the most important ones. These are the ones that I'm going to work towards. And I do have a goals for 2022 video, by the way, that I will link in the cards up above if you're interested. Then here on the left, I have a quote of Daughter of the Forest, which is my favorite book of all time. You will find the way, daughter of the forest, through grief and pain, through many trials, through betrayal and loss. Your feet will walk a straight path. Favorite quote, or one of my favorite at the very least. And I cannot wait to reread this book next year. Then, the spread that everybody and their mom has in their reading journal. These are my bookshelves. I'm sure you know how this works. I will color in each of these books when I've read them. I want to read 72 books by the end of the year. These books in total are 72, and then I have some extra ones. And I will color them in following this key, so following their publication date, which is something that I haven't tracked in my other spreads, so I want to track it here. These shelves do look quite empty, but I wanted to have enough space to add additional books if necessary. And if by the end of the year it turns out that it wasn't necessary, then I will just doodle in some small things here, like flowers or clocks, something like that. Then here I have another quote. Magic is forgetting the world was ever other than as you willed it, which is from The Bear and the Nightingale, again, one of my favorite books. And if you have read that series and you see these mushrooms, you know. If you know, you know. Then next up I have my 2022 overview. So as you see, I messed up April a little bit, but I do think that I fixed it quite nicely. So this is very interesting for me and very important because I am part of a lot of read-alongs, buddy reads, live streams, and usually these get scheduled well in advance. So I don't have my monthly spreads yet at this point. And by having this overview, I can just put it here. For instance, I do know that I have a read-along for the Familiars in April. So when I want to make my April TBR, I just look at this spread and I see if there's anything that I need to add. So I haven't filled this in completely. I think that I have at least one thing for every month already, so I will do this in the next couple of days. Then next up we have my anticipated releases spread. Again, I haven't filled this in. I do have 22 new releases that I want to get to in 2022. I have that video and I will link it again in the cards up above if you want to see. But those are basically the 22 titles that I will fill in here. And then especially for the second half of the year, we do know that more books will get announced, and then I will add them here as well. Then here we have my pages read and days read. Again, pretty self-explanatory. We have the 12 months here, we have a tracker for the amount of pages, and then here at the bottom we have a total amount by the end of the year. And here, each box represents one day. If I listen to an audiobook, I will color it in green. If I read physically or an ebook, which is the same for me, I will color it in pink. And if I did both, I will color it in golden. And of course, if I haven't read anything that day, it will remain empty. Then here we have year at a glance. So this is just the most important stats of each month. In my yearly spreads, I will go a little bit deeper into these stats. For now, I just have audio, physical and ebook, so the amount of books that I read that month. And then for genres, either fantasy or other, because 99% of the books that I read are fantasy. And like I said, in my monthly spreads, I will dive more deeper into the different genres, but this is just year at a glance, not year in total detail. Then here we have my TBR to 0 spread. So this was an idea, none of these ideas, by the way, are original. I watch a lot of reading journal videos as well. And this is one, again, that I saw in one of those other videos. So we start in January, we go all the way to December. And for each of the months, we add the amount of unread books that we have on our shelves that are still on our TBR, so that we wanted to read. Then we add the amount of books that we've read from that physical TBR. So if we got a book from the library, for example, we will not put it here. And then we also add the books that we hauled or unhauled. So if we unhauled, it's -3, for example. And then we do the math, and here we have a new number of unread books. So for me, my goal is just to have less unread books by the end of December than in the start of the year. So basically buy less books than I read. That's it. If I do that, I'm happy. Then here we have We Are Back. So another quote from Royal Assassin, which is the second book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. Again, if you've read the book, you know why this is such an amazing quote and why this is my favorite animal companion of all time. Then we start with the series spreads. So we have a couple. Here we have series to finish. So as you can see, if I read a book, each of these squares is a book, then I already painted it or colored it in golden. And if I continue this series, then I will color the new book in rose. And the whole idea here is that hopefully by the end of this year, I finished all of these books. These are then the series that I want to start, that I already committed myself to and hopefully will. Again, I do have a video for this that I will link in the cards up above if you're interested in knowing more of these series. Here I'm not going to kid myself, I'm not going to fool myself, I will not finish all of these, but I do want to at least start almost all of them and finish a big chunk of them. I will not finish Melasm by the end of the year, but I do hope that I will have read around halfway, so one book every 2 months, you could say. And then here we have the unplanned series, because of course, again, I will probably start some series that I have not planned and that are not on this list. So then I have space to fill them in, and hopefully this is enough space, because otherwise I did a very bad job. And then here we have the standalones. So again, these are the standalones that I have physically. These are 15. I will probably start more, but then I have some space here to add that. So what I also wanted to mention is that these spreads here are very specific for fantasy, my favorite genre, the genre that I read most of all. And then here we have some genre specific spreads. So this is for sci-fi. Again, not a lot. These are just the ones that I own physically, and I have more space to add if that's necessary in the progression of the year. Here is a quote, The Litany Against Fear, which is my favorite quote of all time. This is hands down the best quote ever. This is of course from Dune. So I wanted to have it in this sci-fi spread. Then we have nonfiction and graphic novels. Not that much on this spread. I have space to add if necessary, but this is my least priority. If I just have some nonfiction that I've read and some graphic novels, I will be happy. And like I said, most of the books that I read are fantasy or sci-fi, so if this happens, I'm happy and I don't need to add more. Then here we have classics. So this is for the Expanding My Horizons series that I have on my BookTube channel. And I just read a genre that I haven't read before, usually 5 books, and then I decide by the end if I want to continue. So classics, of course, is not really a genre, it's more a category, and I do think that I will need to read more than 5 books to make up my mind. But I am going to buddy read a lot of books together with Taylor from Made Between the Pages, and also together with my friend Brandy. So I do think that maybe by the end I will have almost 1 classic per month. We will see. I will just add them here when it happens. I will not really have a schedule set out in stone. And then here we have a spread for buddy reads. So I was going back and forth if I wanted to have a specific spread for this, because I will probably add this information throughout these other spreads. But I thought that it would be nice to have just 1 page with all of these buddy reads combined, where I can look at them at a glance and see this book, this month, and with that person. And then here I have DNFs. So I only DNF max 10 books, closer to 5, so this is definitely enough space, but I just wanted to have 1 spread where I can again look at them at a glance. And then we have just a big spread with all the books that I've read, which I will just put them here chronologically with the title, the author, and then maybe just 2 small things, either if it's buddy read, yes or no, and if there's a live show, yes or no. And then this is just the continuation of that spread. So that's it for now. I will definitely add my monthly January spread here, and I will show you them, but my subscribers have asked me to first fill them in completely and then show the filled in monthly spreads. So January, for instance, I will probably show the first month of February. So this was everything. If you want to see more content, if you want to have some journal with me videos, I do plan to do them in 2022 as well. And I hope that this was a little bit helpful and that maybe you got some inspiration. As always, I hope that you enjoyed the video and see you next time. Bye!